What up, my ends? What's going on, Bailiffal? Not much. Well, I'm in the same boat, man. Mostly at this point, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with the rest of this AI. Oh, I have to test some stuff for iClear, actually. Good thing I remembered that. He sent me some stuff that should fix lift land and should do work for a new command called Q, which is basically it allows you to tell the AI to immediately try to like add that unit into production. And so if they have available slots in a queue, like say they're building a fire bat or something and you want them to queue 3 ghosts, so you put Q3 ghosts or whatever, and then it works out, I think. That's the idea, anyways, is that it'll immediately fill that up with 3 ghosts. And I think it does it evenly. Like, if they have 3 barracks and you Q3 ghosts, it'll do 1 for each barracks. Because that's, like, the most efficient thing. So it's, I think it uses, like, the train code or whatever, but it just immediately just adds it with a... I don't remember. There is a priority function, so you can set it to a higher priority or whatever. Watching you code AI is more engaging than watching Firaxis' stream. What's Firaxis? Or who's Firaxis, I guess. But I appreciate the comment. Civilization devs? You mean like, are they like modders or something? Pop in here. Literally nothing? What are they doing? That seems kind of silly, you know? This. Send that in. Didn't they get their channel hacked or something? I think you were telling me about that at some point. Oh. It's an... Yeah, I was gonna say, it's one of those ARGs, alternate reality games or whatever. Very silly. Alright. So he also wanted me to test it with multiple AIs, multiple races. So I think he said he tested it. He didn't test it with Zerg, so we'll test it with those. slap them over here in their own little corner. Oh. Maybe I'll do something like this. So we'll do spawning pool, throw an extra hatchery in here. So SEM Drift crashes on the default profile now as well. That's just fantastic. Let's minimize that so we get that out of the way. I don't get it, man. Alright. Where is it? Find the work here. So hopefully this ends up working out okay. I'm gonna go ahead and well, whatever. I'll just make it all part of the same bit. I gotta remember the syntax is. Here we go. Do 5. We'll do 3. There's 1. 3. Say 90. I'll start out with 3 zerglings and see if that makes it queue 3 separate zergling eggs, which might be a bug, or if it queues 2 for, you know, that would be 4. 40. What are we doing here? Oh wait, I said drones. Bad boy open. Huh? Oh, maybe it's one. He didn't give me the right syntax. Apparently modifier doesn't actually exist, or let's try with that. Let's see what happens. I queer. Stage equals 1. Hey, does anybody here read Python? Yeah, local 0 or global 1. So it should be fine just putting it as 1, but it isn't. Unknown action 1. Byte unit. Byte. Yeah, I have the right area here. How embarrassing. Try a local instead, maybe that'll work. Yeah, it's not working either. Yeah, he's not on right now, so I don't think I can fix this particular issue. We'll just have to nix that for now and come back to it later on. So I'm gonna pop open the lift land one, because there is something else that I can do. So the other thing that I can do is, for lift land, I can start moving, making sure that factories are getting assigned properly. So we're going to do a barracks and a factory. I guess I was thinking, like, I want the AI to wait until it has a structure over here. So what I guess I'll do is I'll just draw a location here, right? And that's going to be location index 4. So we'll do east, wait, 1, barracks, 4. So this will wait until the barracks gets here before moving on. Dynamo's finding out. Oh man. Dynamo's finding out that the source code for StarCraft existed and was in our hands before it was returned to Blizzard. And he got some Overwatch headphones. Classic behavior, dude. Try this out for size, see if everything works as intended. Let's find queue. We do indeed have it open. Scripts. Go that. What's going on, Connor? Testing some new AI commands. Connor. Oh, they build their depot over there like a bunch of fucking goobers. So that's not gonna work. Away. Ah, pranked. There we go. See. Yeah, they've got that assigned. Here comes the barracks. Landed in the right spot and everything. That's crazy. Let's see if the request comes out. It does not look like they requested the Marines, though. Swapped over to the proper town, but they never build the machine shop, which is weird. I wonder if that's an issue with the location. And of course, these guys rebuild it, so you'd have to remove the build request, I think. Let's see where the I gotta go back into the guide, check out remove build. Build. And center. don't see why that would cause any issues. Doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with the script. But you never know with this stuff. It's still very experimental. Emphasis on the mental. Oh, I forgot to close out of it, so... Oh boy, I hope this test works, because I gotta go to the bathroom, man. I ain't got all day. Alright, let's try that again. Where we at? They still rebuild the command center. Even though they don't have a request for it, it's very strange. Oh, now they're training the Marines. Okay. It was the weight build for SCV that got them, I think. Alright. So, I'm going to try one more thing. That seems to have worked. I think it's just the deaths command here that I have that I should be using this for. I should do command center, and then what's the location? Lock 3. Wait. 60. Landing. Okay. Success, I think. I'll send this over to iQuare. I can pop open one more time for verification that the command center gets removed properly before getting rebuilt like a goof. Because that didn't happen with the barracks or the anything else. Never mind. Oh, I think it's because I'm sped up and that desyncs some shit sometimes. It's so weird that that happens. Do I have the wrong location ID? I probably do, huh? Yeah, that's location 2. That'll be why. Got pranked. Wasn't actually successful. I was watching the Joe Rogan Experience, rewatching or re-listening to the interview that he had with Elon Musk. And he was like talking about how AI needs to interact with our limbic system if we're not going to get overrun by them in the future. And they need to like be symbiotic with us, otherwise we don't stand a chance. And I agree. Quite the interesting conversation. Okay, so it doesn't look like they bother with any of that shit now. They seem to be okay. Okay. Cool. Works out, dude. It's functional. Cool. Mwah, beautiful. Mwah, mwah. Benissimo. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break to use the restroom. I will return. Okay. I return. And Balithal had a very controversial comment. He said he doesn't think Elon Musk actually understands AI. Well, do you understand AI? I didn't think so. No, I'm just kidding. What do you mean by that, man? What doesn't he understand? It seems like eventually AI will start to program itself if we allow it to. Seems like a real threat. How's map progress coming along? Pretty good. I think the outline's done. I don't think I'm going to tweak the outline anymore. If I do, it'll be minor stuff. Obviously, I got to place doodads and stuff to make it look pretty. And there's 2 ramps that I need. The backwards asphalt ramp and the backwards asphalted dirt ramp. Like the backward, I guess backwards structure ramp and backwards asphalt dirt ramp. So the trick is just waiting for DF to finish those assets so that I can put those in there. But I'm almost done. I'm done with the really tedious part of making the orange AI, which is like all these neutral units that you see pre-placed. Those are the units and structures that are neutral are structures that the AI makes. Barracks are hatcheries, turrets are colonies. Academy here is a Hydralisk Den, and the Academy here is an evolution chamber. And so basically, I've pre-placed exactly where the AI is going to send its units to try to take map control. And then I've got some other neutral shit around here for the other AI that I know where exactly they're going to place it. I haven't specified where anything else is going to be just yet. Because these Confederate AIs are still in progress. They got the Protoss AI down here. I've more or less figured out what they're going to be doing. Although they could use an extra gateway somewhere. Probably over here. But yeah, I think it's coming along pretty well. It's not so far off of being done. You know, maybe a couple more days of this. and it should be in a playable state. I've got to make the single-player allied AI as well for SP mode. Yeah, so what you're describing makes sense. It's just, at some point, we would program the AI to have the capacity to improve itself, because that would make it more efficient, and we need efficient AI for some reason. Like, that would be the fear, is that eventually humans are gonna do something silly with it, and they would become, you know... There would be hell to pay, basically. Because... yeah, but eventually there's going to be a way for the AI to... like, the idea is that it would actually become true AI or whatever, where it's intelligent and, like, has a conscience, right? So people worry about that, which I think is a fair thing to worry about. So you're a naysayer then? You don't think that the doomsday prophecies are substantive? Well, I think there are people out there who are kind of trying to make it, right? Or there could be people out there who have the means to, potentially, and the drive and desire to. It's interesting, though, because it may very well be that you're correct, but it's also kind of unnerving that once we solve that problem, it is the singularity, right? Like, it just perpetually advances itself. Pretty spooky. I'm writing messages to Iaquare while he's sleeping. I feel like I've been listening to the same song since I started this fucking stream. Let's get a move on, guys. Show them how to move, guys. Well, I don't know if this is better.
La pauvre muse. Hélas, qu'as-tu donc ce matin?
Yeah, and that's like the real fear right there. Well, I don't know that it's a requirement, but it's certainly something that people think about. And I don't think that fears about it are necessarily unfounded either. Like, they might not be malicious, but I don't think they would care too much about our opinions on the matter, right? Whether or not we were a force for good or evil in the world. Something that should be engaged with or shelved or whatever. Like, maybe they'll just look at us like we look at animals, but it's a scary thought, man. I mean, I don't have existential dread because of this stuff, but I don't think it's absurd for some people to have it, or whatever. I could see why people would worry about it, I guess. I don't think so. I think it would advance at an insane rate because it's not limited by the way that humans learn and evolve. Like, the calculations it can make are so much faster than humans. Yeah, but I think its means for interacting with the world are so much more robust than humans. Yeah, but AI wouldn't be operating in the same realm that we would be. They wouldn't have to give a shit about pain, or, like, they wouldn't be beholden to any of our base needs or whatever. I think if you allow it to decide its own purpose is when things get potentially dangerous or crazy. You know, spooky. What a piece of shit. I don't want to place too many turrets because this mission does allow you to build mutalisks, but you're going to be limited on gas, so I want them to be useful. But at the same time, I'd like the AI to be somewhat insulated from being annihilated by accident. Since they will be beholden to resources.
Look into my eyes. Embrace me. You will die. I can bring you pleasures mortals cannot know.
Listen, they do say that computers are only as smart as the people who programmed them, and I agree with that general sentiment, and most people are not very smart, so there you go, man. There's my take on the subject. There's something kind of cool about directly visualizing, or visualizing. It's something cool about speaking the English language. And visualizing the way, like the area in which you're going to have your AI bases set up. It's kind of neat in a strange sort of way. Like, placing the structures themselves is pretty cool, I think. Yeah, this is a pretty good mix so far. I'm enjoying it.
apparaissent. Des beautés aux yeux clos, aux corps abandonnés, aux lèvres livides. Ce sont les sœurs de l'eau profonde, et leur danse est une invitation à la mort. Entrez, venez plonger, semble-t-elle dire, ensorcelés, enchantés, envoûtés par leur beauté. Et leur beauté est telle qu'elle l'inspire, et qu'ils se mettent à jouer.
Is this guy French enough, or what? So one thing I was initially worried about with this setup is that eventually it can feel like the AI are just taking over the map, and like there's not any real breathing room on the map between AI structures and stuff. But honestly, that is intentional. If you allow them to, expand outward and take these mobile, or front-facing bases, then of course they're gonna, spend a lot of time trying to smash you, and taking complete control over the area. I think that makes sense. And it's pretty thematic for Terrans, I think. Really, for any race. I guess Protoss are probably the least thematically consistent race for trying to take over an area by building a bunch of stuff there. Like Zerg expanding and infesting stuff. And then for Terrans, it's like they're taking over and siege moding and all this other stuff. So I think it fits the identity there. I was also trying to figure out what I wanted to do about stuff like... I gotta turn this music down, it's distracting. Stuff like randomized things, like different strategies or even tech paths that the AI might go on depending on which run you're on. And I don't think it fits in this particular map. Maybe for the Protoss, they could do something like that. But I think they're using the Ultramarine profile, so they're going to be like doing mostly mass goon. But I like the idea conceptually of, maybe I'll probably make it so that they either get a Citadel of Adun and Zealot legs, or they get a robotics facility and Reavers. So that there will be something of a tech switch there. Because I like the idea that, they just decide at some point in the script to select between, an array of options. And for the Terrans, you can't really do that. Maybe I can cycle out different moves, like they'll expand to the top left sometimes with these structures and lock this area down. Maybe they decide either we're going to do this or we're going to expand down south or something like that. Like, I could see a world where that happens, where they prioritize grabbing different areas of the map. either based on external events like the player moving around or just randomizing. But I really like the idea of having some sort of replay value that's not just that doesn't just consist of like trying a different strategy on your own, but like the AI actually has some degree of variance to it in a way that still feels intact with its consistent thematics. My old concern about AI variance in general for the longest time was that I didn't want to make it feel like, you know, there was one strategy that was only available to you as a player if the AI did a certain thing, but I realized after a while that's true in a lot of cases. Like, you know, if your player goes a certain strategy, then yeah, you're gonna have to do certain things to be able to come away with a W at that point. That, you know, there's like, obviously that it's part of like conceptualizing the AI itself as an entity on the map and having them express their own personality that you're coding into them, so that they sort of impress that upon the player, and the player senses that the AI likes to behave certain ways and wants to do certain things, is making it so that they are enacting out a strategy themselves while the player is acting out their own strategy, and the player has to be apprised of the enemy's strategy, which is where scouting comes in and stuff like that, just as much as the AI would have to react to the player's strategy or whatever. And so I think at the end of the day, I'm pulling away from the idea thinking that it's probably best to make it so that there is some degree of variance. It's not going to make it so that, like, randomly, there's a 1 in 3 chance for the AI to be much harder. You know, obviously, that's not what I mean. But that sort of variance will encourage people to scout. Because even if you know the number of openers that the AI could do, scouting out to figure out which one of those openers the AI is doing is still valuable, because then you know what to do for your early game and what your opener should be, you know, what you should react to and what you don't need to react to, right? Like, if you think that they're going to open by taking the top left and you don't scout it, and then they're actually taking the middle, then maybe SEM draft crashes on you while you're trying to make a point. I hope that point was made well enough. So I'm a fan of the idea anyways. I think that it'll be pretty solid. Ay. Oh, remember when I went to the bathroom? I gotta go again, but this time it's gonna be longer. So, take a water break, go to the bathroom yourselves, enjoy the 5 to 10 minute break we have before we get back to coding AI, coding Elon Musk's fears into reality in this modding stream. I shall return. Okay, finally back. Sorry about that brief interruption. Whoa! Don't look at that. It's secret. It was a full 10-minute break. Okay. Yo. So I was having these concepts for ways to interact with your AI ally when you're playing in single-player mode. I think that the best way to do it would probably be to, if it's possible to build it into the user interface somehow, that would be like the ideal, optimal way to do it. Where you like push a button or press a hotkey, and when you do it, it opens up like a submenu, or like selects a unit, and like an invisible unit or something, and it would give you a command card, like you know when you have an SCV selected and you can build stuff. It would basically be like letting you tell the AI where to attack, and tell the AI. You'd be able to like order them to defend you. You like toggle on and off them defending you actively. So if you toggled that behavior on, they would protect your base when your base is attacked, and if you toggled it off, they would just act normally. So if you're like dealing with a big enemy attack that you, or an enemy attacks your base and you're not in a position to go, you know, find it, you can get your AI ally to bail you out, but it comes at the cost of whatever they were going to be doing with those units. And you know, so there's like a larger strategy idea, right? And so you have to make that, you make up your mind about what you want to do with that. Like, do I want my AI ally to use their units to defend me, or should I, you know, do I want to just try to see if I can hold the line while my AI attacks, you know, stuff like that. Being able to waypoint exactly where you want the AI to, you know, mass up their attacks and stuff. Like, you know, say, you know that the enemy has siege tanks up on this ledge, right? They've got a bunch of tanks up here, and you know, you want them to mass their attacks up on this cliff, so they use Overlord transport to get on top of the tanks. So you would tell them to, you know, you'd specify the preparation region. You'd say, you know, prepare here and target here, and they would, you know, do as you ask. So you'd be able to like determine their behavior or something. Ideally, if there was an attack transport feature, which right now we don't have, what would basically happen is you'd be able to just tell them, hey, on your next attack, use transports. And so you'd be able to like combine that directive with exact locations as to where to target or something. Like, that would be the ideal world. I'm not really sure if that would be that's something that's possible. Right? I know it's not possible right now, but we're working on it. So. So I definitely think that defending, that'll definitely be possible. The changes required for that are really, really easy. You'd also be able to tell them the unit compositions you want them to use. So in Hydra, I plan on having like some alternative versions of units. For Zerg, it'll probably just be like you can morph units between each other or something. So, for example, for Terrans, there's going to be a Firebat alternative, where you can tech switch into a situation where all future units that you build at the barracks, like, it basically precludes building Firebats in favor of building this other unit. So, when you invest the money and time or whatever into the upgrade or tech, whatever it's going to be, it gives you that unit instead of the Firebat. You train it. If you want to go back to Firebats, you have to tech switch again, which is another fiscal and time investment. And you know, the units are, it's not going to be one as like an upgrade over the other. It's just going to be better in different circumstances. So it's like a different kind of combat role or something. And so, you would be able to tell your AI ally in the Rebel Yell campaign when it's updated to support this. You'd be able to say, hey, AI, you build fire bats and I'll build the alternative, or vice versa. Or, you know, if you think that, you know, for this particular circumstance, both players should have one type of unit or something, you'd be like, you get this upgrade, and, you know, or you know, it wouldn't be like, I don't know, it would just be something like that. You know, you focus on building those instead of the fire bats or whatever. And then you'd also just be able to flat out, like, tell them what to prioritize in terms of units. So if you wanted to get your AI ally in this mission, for example, to spam out only Zerglings, you could theoretically do that with this control panel that I'm trying to get put into the game. I'm not 100% sure how successful the attempt will be, but I'm pretty, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be, if I can make it work, it will be really, really positive overall. Yeah, it's a work in progress conceptually as well as in terms of the tech that's required to put it in. Iquare's the man behind the tech side of it. But we still have to figure out how best to, like, organize the actual implementation. Alright, I think I've placed enough Terran miscellaneous shit. Let's get back to working on the Zerg ally. So, we've defined their maximum units. I wanted to wait. So we'll do... What should they get for upgrades initially? Oh man. The basics. I think I'll just try to make these guys well-rounded. I did these in a strange, but I think effective way earlier. I just don't remember what the exact thing was. They don't start out with an evolution chamber, so that would be why. So let's do... Still in here? I don't think so. Not even close. Not quite what I was looking for. I'll do carapace next. Do I want tier 2 weapons to tier 2 upgrades to be available there? I don't think so. I think tier 1 is probably a fine cap here. I'm thinking about... I want to add some new units as well as the alternative units that I was talking about earlier that are going to allow the game to feel fresh, but I'm not going to... See, I'm kind of torn between just including Brood War units earlier than canonically, you know, they existed, or replacing the Brood War units with some new unit that fulfills a similar role but in a unique way, so that it doesn't feel like I'm just rehashing the Brood War unit. Like, I had an idea, for example, for a replacement for the medic. It would be trained at the barracks. It would be like a bio drone of some kind. So a robotic unit. It would be fairly slow moving, but it would deploy into an even slower moving mode or form, and while in that form, its energy would drain, and it would provide healing that's like a little bit faster than Zerg regen, probably, I guess, substantially faster than Zerg regen, to all infantry units in the area that are allied or owned by that player or whatever. And you'd be able to upgrade its energy capacity beyond 250, probably by like 100 or something. And you'd also be able to research a different aura, where instead of healing your units, it would drain energy faster than the heal would, but it would like slow enemy movement speed or something. Or maybe, you know, so the idea is like it slows enemy movement speed, but this unit, while deployed and casting an aura, is pretty slow. And so even though you're kiting, ideally you're kiting with the movement speed advantage, it's still kind of a sitting duck. So it's still vulnerable. And I just think that it could be used, obviously that opens it up to be used defensively, where you know, put it at choke points or something near your base entrances. So like there's more than just a utilitarian healing use for it. And that way, it's not really the same thing as a medic. These units would probably be fairly expensive, so you wouldn't really be fielding a bunch of them. You know, they'd probably be like 4 supply and like a whole bunch of resources, like 200 or something. And not to say nothing of the upgrades that are required to make it even more efficient, right? Like the energy upgrade would probably be like 200. The new tech would be 200. You know, like this shit's gonna be expensive in terms of, and it would feel expensive too. It's like, you know, it's cutting edge technology or something that they just developed. You know what I mean? Wink, wink. And so it should feel expensive. It should feel like an investment, but it should also pay off. And I think its power budget can be high in that case. And so I was thinking of it in the terms of like, you know, how would I want to use this unit? And you could use it aggressively with its slow field once you research it, which would probably not even be available the first time you have the unit. That would probably be something that like becomes available later on. And or, you know, obviously the main use of it would be to facilitate bioplay. But upgrading its armor, which is useful to increase its survivability, would require vehicle plating. And so you still have to make an investment into, you know, the armory in order to do that, which I think is kind of cool because it's like, it doesn't, it stops it from feeling oppressive, I guess. Where, you know, if you're up against that, because obviously the AI enemies that you're going to be up against in the Terran campaign are going to be using this tech as well as you. You're going to be in a position where the AI will be using it, and they'll be using it somewhat competently, and so I don't want the player to feel powerless against it, just like I don't want the player to feel overpowered using it, right? So I think that's an interesting concept for a unit. I'd like to see that through and just experiment with it. So that's like an example of a new unit, a completely new unit that I'm thinking of doing. I feel like it's different enough from the medic in terms of the combat role that it serves, that it doesn't really matter that it also facilitates bioplay, because it does other things, and it facilitates bioplay in a very different way than the medic does. And so I think it's kind of cool. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Taken care of. It sort of is like the obsidian statue, I guess, but it well, in terms of the heal. But I think the fact that it drains energy much faster than in the obsidian statue does makes it pretty different in actual, like, on paper it seems similar, but in practice I think it would play very differently, especially since all of the pieces around it are so different from the Warcraft 3 pieces that surround the obsidian statue, right? So I feel like there's enough difference there. Obviously I won't know until I actually implement it and then test it. I don't mind using the biodrone in other projects as well. I really like the concept, and I especially think if I'm going to be doing this system where you're going to be able to specialize your army in a sort of way where you decide, am I going to take firebats, or am I going to take this shotgun unit or something, you know, whatever the alternative to firebats are. Maybe you decide, do I want to take medics or biodrones? Like, one thing that I think is actually good and compelling in some way about the StarCraft 2 campaigns is the fact that they do have those army customizations. And you know, I don't think that's like a bad thing. I think that is something praiseworthy. It allows you to decide what combat roles you want to take into battle. I think the other thing is, obviously in StarCraft 2 the execution was really bad because there were some units that were just hands down better than the others. And so, like, really there wasn't a whole lot of variety. But even so, some people are going to say, hey, I like the biodrone better than the medic, and other people are going to prefer the medic, and maybe they have the option to choose between the two. Maybe in the Broodwar versions of the Hydra campaigns, like the Hydra version of the UED campaign or something, they have access to biodrones or advanced medics or something like that, and you can pick between the two or something. Or maybe, you know, maybe I reserve the swapping between the two for, you know, an inconsummate sequel or something. I don't know. It really depends on where shit goes down the road, but... Well, they'll regenerate energy when not deployed, but they it would drain, like, deploying is almost like ghost cloaking, where it drains energy while they're in the middle of that, giving off that aura in a way. And the debuff would only slow movement speed. It wouldn't slow attack speed. So if you let units... If you don't actually make use of the kiting, if you allow units to close the distance, then you're still kind of fucked in that respect. Like, you're not actually gaining anything out of the experience, you know? So glad SI added the ability to draw units in particular. It's pretty nice.
Go there and I would sit for hours sometimes, fully expecting for someone to walk in, a familiar face. And no one ever came.
kind of hard for me to conceptualize the attack strength. I think I just got to approximate it and then tweak it once we're in game. Especially since I don't know what the script is going to look like for the Confederates yet. I haven't even started it. Base layout is so tedious to work with sometimes. I mean, it's really, really good. It opens up so many possibilities, and it's probably one of the single most influential commands, like the most widely used commands in my iScripting now. That's like not a standard command or whatever. So I'm not like taking it for granted or anything here. It just is, you know, it takes time to code everything in, to place all these units, same with guards and stuff. I have to make widened... I did make widened ramps, but I made them for the Ashworld tile set, so they don't have the right palette. I gotta make widened structure ramps for this piece of shit. Oh. Man, I've just been getting slammed with fatigue. Might be a shorter stream than they normally are. I reckon you should be able to roll over some of these rocky ground doodads. I'm going to be making some of them walkable. And some others less intrusive. It's kind of funny, I was talking not so long ago about making a new game state for Warcraft 3, and I wasn't sure like exactly how I was going to do it or what my guiding philosophies were going to be. But I'm basically making a new game state for StarCraft now. It's not quite the same level of customization or whatever, but it's very similar in terms of like some of the stuff that I'm doing, where I'm like seeing what I don't like about StarCraft and saying, okay, well, I gotta fix this stuff, right? I gotta change stuff about this, and coming up with solutions. You know, like I don't like that there's no medic type unit that allows for bioplay, so that's where I came up with the biodrone. I don't like that you can't like tell your AI what to do and stuff, so that's why I came up with the AI control panel. There's all sorts of things that I'm like conceptualizing that I think are pretty cool. And I hope that they end up being big hits. I had this conversation, or I started talking about something similar to this in my playthrough of that Legends of Arcane campaign earlier today. But one of the other things that I really want to cultivate in Hydra going forward is the sense of continuity between the missions that, in terms of the gameplay that you're experiencing and engaging in. Like, I feel like right now there's a massive, like in most campaigns that is, there's a massive disconnect between like the first mission and the last mission. And I understand that there should be an escalation in scale. Obviously, I totally agree with that, and difficulty and all this other stuff. But you don't really see a... I feel like there's not really that many productions where you're using skills and strategies that you were starting to work on in the first mission. You know, you've mastered them and are using them in the finale of the production. I feel like there should be more productions that communicate to you the skills that are generally required for you to be successful in the project. They allow you to experiment with strategies and figure out which one suits you the best, and show you where you need improvement in the first couple of missions before really turning up the heat. Maybe they turn up the heat immediately, I don't know, whatever. And I don't know, I just feel like there could be more done in that department, and I feel like currently there's a bit too much variance in the maps of Hydra for my liking. You know, I feel like there could be a lot more going on in that department. Well, there could be less going on, I guess. There could be more consistency going on. What's going on, Shambler? Shambleman? Welcome back from the void, dude. Long time no talk. No call me ham. But like, so I got an example I'll pull up of what I was just talking about just a second ago. Let's pop into we'll just compare the 10th mission with the 5th mission here in Hydra Rebel Yell. So, part of this is going to be an issue. The colors are going to be fucked up, but part of this is going to be an issue related to the lack of, like, the disparity between my development process and my mindset and my skill level with AI in the design phase of the 5th mission, and all those same components during the design phase of the 10th mission. Because obviously I was like way more experienced with the AI tools and stuff at the end of the campaign in terms of its development time. And this was released periodically as opposed to all at once, and so it was kind of discombobulated there. So when you look at it from that perspective, it kind of makes sense. It explains some of the context for why things are so different. But just look at the map. Like, the mini-map is a very obvious telegraph where there's like almost no build space. There's almost no, like, you know, you're very cramped, you're very surrounded, and everything's already set up at the beginning, and there's really not any growth. The AI just has all of this ground. And maybe that's a thematic difference between this map and the 10th mission, where the AI doesn't have nearly as much ground right out from the, you know, the beginning of the game, comparatively. They still have a lot, but they don't have that much, you know, especially compared to this. But even if that were the case, the strategies that the player has at their disposal, the tools that they have at their disposal, are so different in this mission compared to that one. Not just in terms of like their tech level, which is obviously going to be reduced because the 5th map versus the 10th map, but also just looking at the fact that they, you know, the AI is operating by completely different rules. And so there's like a big disparity there where you're going from map to map, and you're being forced to use strategies that you didn't have to use previously to win, because old strategies are no longer applicable. And it's the same mechanism by which gimmicks destroy gameplay cohesion in something like StarCraft 2, where you're going to be using Reapers for only one mission and then never using them again in Wings of Liberty, for example. Like, that's the quintessential classic example of a gimmick that I always use, but it's the same mechanism, an old strategy that worked no longer becoming valid in any other context. it's the same sort of mechanism that's what's happening here. It's just maybe harder to quantify, and maybe not as extreme. So that's something that I would definitely want to tackle in the rewrite for some of these missions, is make them bigger, make it the AI start out with less map control immediately, or you know, make it so that they expand out, they scale up better. Obviously I can do that now that I have base layout. And have positional gameplay and territorial conquest and you know, basically contended territories and stuff like that be more of a mainstay. You know, if I'm going to have them at all, if I'm going to make them a focus of any of the maps, they should probably be a focus of all of the maps in their own ways. And that's sort of clashing with my idea, my instinct to make each individual mission have some element of uniqueness to it. Like, I want the missions to feel unique and feel different from one another in some respects. And I understand that, you know, you don't want missions to feel like they are just the same mission over and over again. You want each one of them to stand out in their own way, to have some sort of unique element of, like, something that stands out in memory. Like, a player will forget that they played that mission, and then you'll say, hey, you remember the mission where X happened? Or where the AI does this? Or, you know, whatever. And something memorable will stick out to them. They'll be like, yeah, I do remember that. Like, that sort of thing is what I'm going for. So, hopefully, I'm able to nail that, where there are moments that are memorable within each individual map, and segments of gameplay that stand out in terms of them being unique, without negatively impacting the overall cohesion of, like, the gameplay paradigm that I'm trying to, you know, hold the campaign to, and design the campaign around. Like, obviously, with most of my products, most of my projects, it's you know, large-scale, macro, team-oriented, free-for-all stuff, whatever, and, you know, expand a lot, build big armies, attack other big armies, that sort of thing. Like, that's the paradigm that I like to build my maps around. And so, of course, it's going to reflect that, but there should be certain things that are true of every single map, and if I can get those down for every single map, I think I'll be a lot better, a lot closer, just a lot better off in general. That's the hope, anyway. I don't like that the perspective here is fucked, but nothing I can do about that right now. I'll fuck around with terrain later on, probably. In a completely unrelated note, sometimes I react Chalk's head to random things on Discord, and then I go back and look to see if Chalk's woke up, read the message history, and reacted with my head. It's an ongoing game we're playing. It's like if anybody here remembers Facebook Poke Wars, where you would poke somebody on Facebook and they would poke you back, and you'd have to, like, see how high you could get the number. It's like basically that, but Discord form. We're just posting each other's heads on people's messages with no fucking context. This is the first mission of the Zerg campaign. Hydra version, Hydra edition. It went from like being 96 by, or I think it's like a 64 by 64 map or 96 by 96 map. Now it's 140 by 96, so it must have been 64 by 64. Because I know it's both taller and wider, so. All the neutral shit is just there for like the AI, like keeping track of where the AI puts units and stuff, so. It's not actually stuff that's going to be there at the beginning of the game. Let's see. You've got your Scarlet AI, which builds lots of starports and tries to swarm you with infantry and wraiths and drop you and stuff. You got the Sienna AI that's more mech focused, throws some marines at you too. And then you have the Ultramarine Protoss stragglers from New Gettysburg's battle. And they're here wrecking shit as well, so there's a bit of a free-for-all. So I think it's pretty nifty altogether. Thanks, man. So, you're gonna have the two human players. If the second human player isn't there and you're playing single player, there will be an AI ally that will take over the second player's base. And even if you're playing co-op, either way, you have a third AI ally, or a third player on your team. And they are in charge of defending the Chrysalis. And the Chrysalis actually is vulnerable, and regenerates life over time, like any other Zerg unit or structure, but can be destroyed. And so I might just make it like a mature Chrysalis, like the special building, instead of bothering with the small Chrysalis, the young Chrysalis. Just so that it's more obviously communicated that it's a structure and that it is vulnerable. But either way, it'll be targetable. And your objective will just be to, protect it. You got your AI ally here that are they're going to be in charge of defending it directly, and then you've got your various AI enemies, opponents. I was also thinking about what I was going to do for heroes for the Zerg, and I think, piggybacking off of an older discussion that I had on one of the other mod streams, I'm probably going to have this like core genus unit that can morph between any of the available Zerg strains. So for example, if you have Zerglings, Hydralisks, Mutalisks, and Queens, then you could morph it into a hero one of all of those. Or maybe it's only combat units and not spellcasters, whatever. And so the main idea would be that you can use this core genus, and it's expensive, maybe it costs supply, but at the very least it'll cost resources and a lot of time from your hero structure. And what it'll do is you can initially morph it into you know, whatever combat units you have at your disposal. So you can decide if you wanted to start out as a Zergling, Hydralisk, Mutalisk, whatever. And then from there, it can morph into any of the other ones. And you can upgrade it to morph faster and stuff like that. And that's a one that I don't mind allowing you to not really resurrect, more like rebuild. Like build a new one. Obviously, if you're controlling like Kerrigan or something, it's a little bit different. That would be something that must survive. But I don't mind you. Yeah, well, that sort of gameplay should be possible, I think. And I think maybe you'd be able to like get a special, like a unique upgrade for every form that hero Zerg could transform into. And so on the hero structure, you'd be able to be like, get into an upgrade tab. And there'd be like an upgrade specific to the Zergling form, and an upgrade specific to the Hydra form, and so on and so forth. That makes it like more exceptional in some way. And so this is part of like a larger initiative that I'm trying to get done, where basically it allows players who want to do this sort of thing to opt into using heroes, which normally isn't really possible. It's not even really thought of as like an option. It's more like you have a hero or you don't. But in this case, if there's players who excel at micro or something and aren't really that great at macro, maybe they want to make the investment early on to get the hero producing structure, the hero customization structure, and then summon a hero and say, I'm gonna invest in, microing my hero around. That's one of the things that I'm gonna do. That's one of the things that I'm good at. That's one of the things that I like to do. That is like a valid strategy for whatever to happen. And so I think that's a pretty key element of it too, because there are going to be some players who just say, fuck it, I'm just going to, make 36 Hydras and A-move across the map. And, if that strategy works for them because they micro well enough or whatever, then who can say, hey, what are you doing? Why aren't you using the core genus unit? Why aren't you using the Zerg hero unit? Obviously they're doing a strategy that works for them. But at the same time, the Zerg hero unit should be a feasible choice. And I think I'll make sure that it is. But yeah, you're right. There's always the tendency to like go for the biggest, baddest unit there, like either a Hydra or an Ultralisk or something. But I think that making it so that there's some sort of skill-based expression possible to gain additional advantages depending on whatever unit you're using is good. Part of that will just be making it so that the AI is, certain AI promote the use of certain mutations or whatever, certain forms. But some of it will also just be like, maybe the upgrade increases the Hydralisk's attack speed when it's far away from enemy units, when it's at its maximum range or something. Or, some weird shit like that is easy for players to figure out what's happening, and so they don't feel like they are... what's the term? They don't feel like it's just this weird, hard to understand gimmick. It's like built into unit behavior, and it allows them to, when they upgrade it, it improves their unit's ability as long as they micro appropriately and stuff like that. So it's based in skill as opposed to being based around some, stat pad or like, oh, just now you attack faster or attack from a farther range or something. It's like, it's more like it somehow influences the positional gameplay that you're already doing. Like you're kiting the Hydra away from units. And so you're reinforcing a positive behavior in terms of micro by giving you additional rewards if you micro even better. Stuff like that is like a general principle to follow, I think. And that would allow you to improve the unit and do so in a way that actually is a genuine improvement in terms of the unit's power budget, but requires a certain amount of skill to pull off. I think that's like a good balance, a good rule of thumb. So hopefully I make it, I do it well, properly. Maybe you could give the Ultralisk a cleave ability. Or not an ability, but like a cleave on hit. So it deals like AoE, but only in a cone or something. And so that would reward proper positioning of the Ultralisk, so that it's hitting as many units as possible with its AoE. Stuff like that I think could be interesting. Where it does actually change the way that you use the unit, rewarding you for better behavior. And forces players to make a decision as well, like, you know, with the Hydralisk, keeping it at close to max range to get that bonus attack speed or whatever is a decision, because you're spending APM on that action, and maybe you're getting less hits in initially overall before you get that attack speed injection. And then once you have the injection, you can say, okay, I'm gonna either try to maintain it, or I'm just gonna keep that 3 seconds or 2 seconds or whatever amount of seconds I get before it goes away, because I got to go back to my base and macro or whatever, you know. So you're forcing players to make a decision based on whatever their priorities are in the moment, which I think is also good practice in general. And then you have like the Ultralisk who, you know, maybe you put your Ultralisk in a position where he is taking more hits from units, but it's resulting in more DPS against those units, and so you're weighing up the pros and cons of that decision and figuring out, like, what do you think is the right move. You know, maybe the Zergling rends armor or something once it's upgraded. And so you get that upgrade, and now you're incentivized to first target down the units that the Zergling is targeting. Stuff like that is like, you know, obviously these are all very like off the cuff. I wasn't thinking of any of these beforehand, but like some sort of shit like that would allow you to make genuine strides. Something bad happened. It would allow you to genuinely improve the utility of the unit and strength of the unit, but still requires some degree of micro and precision, because you have to click on the right unit, that, you know, the same unit that the Zergling is attacking or whatever, you know? So that seems like a very simple interaction, and it is, but it also requires some degree of skill to snap onto that unit or whatever with all of your other units, and again, forces players to make a choice between attacking that unit and a unit that the Zergling isn't attacking and stuff like that. So it's like precise control of your whole army. Maybe give the Defiler the ability to consume enemy bio, encouraging a risk-reward gameplay. Yeah, maybe consuming enemy units restores its HP or increases its attack speed temporarily or something like that. Whereas consuming friendly units restores its energy. Like, I could see them having different benefits depending on whether or not it's an enemy or an allied unit that you're consuming. And obviously, if you're going close enough to enemy units to consume them, that is pretty risky. But yeah, you're basically right on the money there with the risk-reward idea. Like, again, making the player make those tough choices. Yeah, this mix has been pretty, Oh, this is actually a different mix than I thought it was. There was another mix earlier that was pretty good. This is alright, too. Not bad. I'd be talking more. I'm very tired, unfortunately. I was pretty good at the top of this stream, but for some reason, after a measly 2 hours, I'm just ready to pass out. So I'll probably be bouncing fairly soon. I'd like to get more work done on the attack thread of the Zerg AI, though. I think the this map is coming along pretty well, though. Like, I'm very surprised. I mean, this is the third stream in a row, the third day in a row that I've done a dev stream for Hydra. Yeah, I also was, I did a lot of stuff earlier today as well. Like, obviously, I did Legacy of Arcane earlier today. Before that, I was doing a production with Mesk. A very special production. I'm sure you guys will enjoy when it's done. I've been up since like 1 or 2 in the morning. My time is, it's almost 9 o'clock now, so it's only natural for me to be tired. It just means I'm gonna sleep good. Director Dave? Designer Dave, you goose. Silly goose. More like designer dumb. Are you here to watch me write attack add 1 Zergling? Arcane's really weird. The story is like copy-pasted 1-to-1 from Warcraft 3. A lot of the story elements, like the Demon Eye, aka Eye of Gul'dan, or Eye of Sargeras, whatever the fuck it was. No, it just means for the one attack that I'm writing, it would add one. It would be 1 Zergling. Like, for example, I have attack at 8 Zergling, attack at 6 Hydralisk, so that is the attack composition for that one AI. Yeah, people, Balethal was saying that it reminded him more of Warhammer. I think it does say, like, Khazarkin or something, that's what Balethal mentioned. I can't shake the Warcraft 3, though, from it. Like, orcs versus humans, demon invasion, like, it's Warcraft 3. You got the, you know, the weird Empire shit or whatever on off to the side. Sure, you know, that's Warhammer. But it just feels so weird that they have the Eye of Sargeras in there as the demonic eye, or demon eye, or whatever. I don't get it, man. I don't understand the motivation behind it. What really gets me about that whole experience on top of it, too, is that he wants to write books, doesn't he? Colin, if you comment on a video, I can approve you so you don't get yelled at by YouTube. I don't think I can improve you otherwise, though. Let me see. Maybe I can. No, I have to see a comment from you. That's very silly. Just a fart status. Yeah, I'm hopeful that I'll see evolution in the campaigns as I go on. I'm very critical of the first one so far, but I'm hopeful that there will be more substance to the missions, to the other campaigns. In general. Close that now. What's going on? I don't know, dude. What is going on? Hey, welcome back. Alright. You should be approved now. Welcome to the big boys table, lol. Second pair of eyes for grammar would have actually had me put it in the top 3 Warcraft maps just because he could have told the generic medieval drama and not be a meme if the English language was okay. Do you think grammar was really the only thing that held it back from reaching top 3 status? I feel like if the gameplay was anything to write home about, maybe there would be something there. My issue is, I think you were here when you probably just joined the stream, Shambler, when I was going through my whole spiel about consistency in the gameplay department. I feel like there's none of that in Arcane. Like, you go through... Oh, okay, yeah, I haven't played that, so I don't know for sure. But, you know, you go through the whole ordeal, and you're like, okay, you got these micro missions that are just straight garbage. Like, enemies just watching me kill their allies. Right in front of them. 5 feet from them. Whatever. No problem. It's like straight out of Blizzard. The actual Blizzard quality. I feel like my issue with his stupidly massive macro is that there's no early game ever. He just like rushes you right over into having like a castle at the beginning. Hopefully that's like rectified at some point. We actually get some early game. And it scales in nicely. So like there's nothing to contextualize the massive large scale stuff in the mid to late game because there's never any early game for you to feel like you're getting a breather. Yeah. I haven't seen anything from the second book, but what little I saw from the Orc and Undead books does not fill me with confidence that there was really a whole lot of evolution between the two of them. Thanks, OCM Draft. Wouldn't be the same if you didn't just crash every now and then. I think it's okay to have massive grand-scale warfare, but not every faction should start out with a tier 3 keep and, you know, 30 units sitting in defense. And like you can, if you like, I think it's at least 2 separate streams, but it might have been 3. No, I think it was just 2, where it was this one and the last one where I was trying to do that green wave mission. And I got wave emoji'd real fucking hard, let me tell you. To a ridiculous degree. Yeah, well, the AI already starts out with everything they need. They get cheated a bunch of money. They never have to worry about income. They barely have to worry about supply. Oh, yeah, that's reasonable. Yeah, the mass towers thing is ridiculous. And the only reason why is because he didn't raise upkeep values, which is like 5 seconds. I also just like the fact that he made it so that it's fine to expand. And, you know, you have no issues with workers costing... Like, I can't believe that he just made it so that workers don't cost supply. That's so crazy to me. So... Not a fan, at least. That's probably obvious, but whatever. Yeah. So you just sit there on the same... Like, you're never punished for taking expansions slowly. You're never punished for not killing their bases fast enough for them to mine you out. Because not only are they 60k per gold mine, but some of them mine 1 gold per return. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to me that would happen. That would be his methodology. Yes. Well, if you have heroes that are useless, like the Mountain King that I had in that Green Wave mission, there really is no way out for you. I still can't imagine dealing with that shit in, on the hardest difficulty. Though I don't even know what that changes. I think it just hands them upgrades or something. Maybe adds more units to their defenses. Because the thing is, they'll never run out of money. You can't attrition them. The only thing you can hope to do is destroy their fortress, or their main base, right, their town hall, and kill off all their workers, and then slowly pick apart their base. If you're unable to break them, then that's what you have to do. And it's just like, why? Why would you do something like this? Yeah, the AI doesn't seem to be different. It didn't really seem like that much of a difference when I went from normal to hard, or from hard to normal. Got the main thread done. Yeah, I really don't like the pre-placed garbage approach. Pre-placed junk. Can't you tell the AI to build stuff, like, over time or whatever? I don't understand. It seems like he just has an allergy to allow the player to have some sort of onboarding time. Like, if the AI has, you know, 100 food and pre-placed garbage, why aren't they A-moving all of that into my base at the beginning? The only justification for that would be that they're retarded. Like, they literally can't left-click all of their units, like, click-drag all of their units and A-move into me. What do you mean leadership bonus is affecting story? Yeah, it seems like he went the Nova Covert Ops, or not Nova Covert Ops, the Wings of Liberty route for that. It is pretty funny that Brood War is actually the most advanced RTS now that we've had all of these modifications to the engine. Book 2 thing? Okay. Let's see. Ooh, boy. Dave, can't spoil that epic storyline twist for me. Oh, let me see. What did you say? Unless you choose the blandest hell or useless ones, making these attempts to spice up gameplay, punish the player if they are somewhat minorly interested in story wise. Oh, I didn't read the first message. Huh. That seems like a really bizarre plot point, or like way to like a very strange design choice, you know? Oh, this is done script. All set. More or less. Yeah, I think the biggest issue with his decision to, I was talking about this in my latest playthrough as well, is that the way that he banks data is he telegraphs what's up so obviously, and it is kind of frustrating from the player's perspective. Like, part of the whole allure of having your actions potentially mean something in future missions is that you don't know what those actions are going to result in. And you may not even know which actions are going to result in a change. And that is one of the things that I look for in these kinds of games or campaigns in this case, where the idea is that your interactions with the environment shape the setting abroad, not just the setting in the present moment, right? In the single map that you're playing. For example, in Hydra, one of the things that I'm going to be doing is basically making it so that you have access to a whole bunch of small permutations that can occur. And they're not going to be shoved down your throat. You're not going to be like told that, hey, by doing this, you'll get something in the next mission or something different will happen later on. It's just something that you start to notice if you're being attentive that is happening from the early stages. for example, your kills will, this is like a very minor one, but the hero's kills, they're no longer going to be capped at 255 for one. And if you kill 100 units in map 1, then your hero will have 100 kills in the next map. And it's very minor. It basically doesn't even show up for most people. Most people aren't even going to realize it. But it totals out your lifetime kills while using that hero across the overall running time of the campaign. And that'll also be true for stuff like, for example, in the Zerg campaign, if you lose your core genus unit, right, the hero unit that we talked about earlier, then your new one will have 0 kills at start. And so it'll be like, oh, you know, does your hero have like 1,000 fucking kills at the end of the campaign? Well, maybe you kept them alive throughout all the missions or something crazy. Ooh, cool. You know, props to you or whatever. But there's also going to be stuff that's way more impactful. For example, in the 9th mission, there's a bunch of different ways that you can win that mission. If you kill the Protoss, then the Zerg canonically overwhelm the Confederates and then also attack Kerrigan, right? If you leave the Protoss, then... okay, well, let me talk about the first option. So, the Zerg overwhelm the Confederates because you destroyed the Protoss. In the 10th mission, there are going to be Zerg on the field as an 8th player, like an extra AI that's like part of a free-for-all, right? They're not allied to anybody. If you leave the Protoss alive and ensure the deaths of the Confederates yourselves, you kill the Confederate base yourself, there's going to be an extra Protoss player on the Protoss team in the 10th mission. So it actually changes the enemy that's on the field. And I'm sort of playing around with the idea of making it so that if you kill the Protoss but the Zerg are dead and the Confederates are still alive, then a small Confederate contingent is there in the 10th mission. So it's sort of like, it really just depends on the permutations of like who's alive at the end of a map will dictate who's alive in the next mission to continue fighting you because you're still in the area, right? And so your actions, or in this case inactions, in killing or sparing a certain base or a certain faction actually have a ramification. Where next mission you might have to deal with the repercussions. Or you reap the rewards. If all 3 enemy factions in map 9 die, the Zerg, the Protoss, and the Terrans, then maybe there is no extra player. It's just the players that are specific to that map, the 2 Protoss and the 3 Sons of Korhal, which means that there's more of the map that's open for you to take in the early stages, and more, you know, open terrain or whatever for, obviously, the other AI as well. But that could be yet another 4th permutation that could happen that's different. And at no point in the map am I going to disclose this potential information. Like, you guys will know because I'm telling you now, but there's... At no point are you going to know that from the dialogue or from, like, a tooltip that pops up and says, you know, kill or spare this base. It just seems really on the nose in Arcane. I really don't understand why he went with that approach instead of making it subtle. And then maybe at the end he can spill the beans by saying, like, you know, according to your bank data, this is what you did. And these are the ramifications, or something like that. But I don't even think you need to do that. Maybe you can disclose that stuff in a README or something. That really, it's just stuff that I think is like, if you're going to include bank data at all, if you're going to make a campaign in Warcraft 3 or StarCraft 2, but especially now that bank data exists in Brood War as well, it's just expected that you would include this stuff. And so I just don't understand why he went down that road in particular of making it so obvious and on the nose whenever that was on the field, right? I don't want to make it sound like I'm just citing an example of Hydra as like, this is how you do it, because I don't have skin in the game in that sense. I don't really care that much. I'm not trying to make it sound like my campaign is the best and this is the only way that you can do it, because obviously I'm open to other avenues of design, but it just, that seems like a way superior and way more immersive and way less immersion breaking way to handle bank data and different, you know, elements coinciding. And the stuff that, you know, your bank is going to be loaded in the Zerg campaign. Your Terran campaign bank is going to be loaded in the Zerg campaign, and certain things are going to be different in the next campaign because of stuff that you did in the previous one. And like, stuff like that I feel like is cool. It actually adds an element of value to the choices that players make and the choices that they don't make that goes beyond what's going to happen to them in that map or even in that campaign. I feel like it really... I'm disappointed that Arcane doesn't do that because I like that kind of concept and I think it could be really interesting. And so it's kind of frustrating for me as a player to see that not, you know, taken advantage of. Well, the other thing is that the obviously Arcane, its gameplay communicates a very different story than what he wants the story to communicate. He wants to communicate this like idea of, you know, oh, I've got all of these amazing epic battles, but that's never really what we experience in Arcane. We experience units spinning around and a full stack of enemy units just sitting inside the enemy's base and not doing anything until we attack them, and like all sorts of really fucked up behaviors. And so, as much as he wants it to be like cinematic, at the end of the day, it's not really. He didn't put enough work into his gameplay to tell this kind of story that he wanted to tell, which is really what it comes down to. And I think it bears repeating that. And something bad happened, which is fine. I was ending the stream anyway. That's why I paused the music. So, anyways, didn't really intend to talk about Arcane as much on this stream, but I guess I did just play it, so it makes sense. Hope you guys have enjoyed the stream and the other stuff. I'll probably be back tomorrow for another stream, but I might be busy. I don't know. We'll see. And, yeah. Thanks for hanging out with me. Much appreciated. I'll hit these last couple of messages. Let's see. Cinematic is just a bad way to look at games. Yeah. Book 2 is far superior and fulfills the dramatic opera battles. There is growth. It's just not extremely positive growth. Yeah, it seems like a case of one step forward, some amount of steps back. Maybe 1, 2, 3, whatever. But I guess we'll see when we get there. Sometime fucking next year. So, yeah, I think I'll call it quits there. But I'll see you guys tomorrow, most likely. If not, the next day. Whatever. Mwah. Take care of yourselves.